Hello, hello. Good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday. If you're here, go ahead and say hello in the chat. Tell me how you're doing on this beautiful Wednesday morning. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in all the places. All right. How's everyone doing this morning? Hey, Jack. Hi, Gunica. Good morning, Mrs. Garcia. Yeah, it's a beautiful Wednesday outside. Spent a couple of minutes just enjoying the sunshine. I had quite the hard time getting out of bed this morning, but I'm starting to feel a little bit better, which is great. I think I'm going to be able to get a little bit more done, which is awesome. It stinks to feel bad, right? Especially when we're getting so close to this end of the semester. I want to be able to be productive and get stuff done. Morning, Cindy. Unica, you're a little tired. Jacqueline, great, but still a little sleepy. Yeah, me too. I had a hard time getting out of bed this morning, so I'm feeling a little slow, a little sleepy. But other than that, feeling pretty good. I've already had a chance to check my email this morning. And the good news is it's not nearly so packed full as it has been for like the past month. So I feel like that is a good sign. And I'm going to be able to jump right into getting work done today instead of spending my usual like half an hour reading and responding to emails. So that is an exciting part. Morning, Marissa. Oh, Miss Garcia, you straightened your hair this morning for the first time in months. It makes you feel like a real person. Yeah, people keep talking bad about those of us we're wearing jeans and putting on makeup every day. But man, it makes such a big difference in how you feel. I get dressed every day. I'm not in like my nice like work jeans or work pants or whatever. But even just like getting dressed in real clothes and don't put on a ton of makeup, but I put on a little bit of makeup. It makes you feel like you're more yourself. If that's what you're used to doing, right? Good morning, Alicia. Yeah, I think keeping up with some of that sort of just like getting ready routines, even if they're way shorter, just makes such a big difference for how we feel in general. It's crazy. There's really not much left of the semester, which is starting to feel a little bit insane. It also became clear to me what was it? The AP test, the AP literature exam originally was going to be today. And because of the changed format of the test and the new way that we're doing it, it got moved to next week. So our AP Lit class, we really got like a bonus week here. So that's sort of exciting, and a whole extra week to practice and get stuff done and get ourselves sort of into the next wave. Yeah, AP tests are sort of their own thing at this point. Yeah, all the AP tests were supposed to be this week and next week. And then when they updated the schedule for the new testing, they're next week and the week after now. So that's a sort of cool. I always think it's nice to sort of have the AP test be done so that then you get a little bit of wiggle room before the end of the semester, especially for seniors, right? Because like you want to really enjoy um, your last couple weeks of high school, and at least the way that I run the class, once we're done with the AP test, we're pretty much done for the year. We have one or two things that we wrap up, but other than that, I always try to be done so that we can enjoy the end of our senior year. Yep. Which AP test, Jacqueline? Most of the tests this year are writing an essay in 45 minutes. Yeah, just get ready. If you're taking one of those AP English courses, it's 3 essays in 2 hours. You get a lot of good practice in writing essays quickly. For AP World, yeah, that makes sense. Is it going to be the DBQ? You're going to have your documents and write an essay, or is it a different one? Yeah, Marissa, just last night I was watching Gilmore Girls, and it was the episode where Rory graduates high school, and they do the whole like scene at the graduation ceremony, and it was really sad. Quite honestly, I love graduation. It's one of my favorite events. I'll show you guys this. Every year the students who I hand out diplomas to, we take a picture, and let's see if I can get a good look at this. Oh, hold on. We take a picture and it goes on the background of my phone for the whole year, and we do a whole sort of like changing of the guard at graduation. I take a picture of that year's graduates, and then I change the phone background while they're all with me. So yeah, I was really sad. It was really sad to watch that and know that we won't be having that in a couple of weeks. Of course, we'll still be able to do it at our graduation ceremony whenever it happens, but still, it was a bummer. So Jacqueline, it's a modified DBQ. That makes sense. Yeah, the nice thing for our AP literature test is we're actually getting 5 extra minutes than our usual time, because we're used to writing a full essay. So reading the passage, writing the full essay in about 40 minutes. So it's exciting to have those couple extra minutes, and I really think we're going to do a great job on it, which is exciting. I'm hoping everyone will be able to do a good job on it, because I'm going to be one of the people scoring the essays this year. So I'm hoping that all of the essays across the country are great, so that I get some great reading this summer. All right, we'll go ahead and jump into our poem, because today's poem is a little bit longer. And I don't know, this poem is so interesting to me. It's about a boat, and I don't know, I thought it was fun. So this is called Old Ironsides by Wendell Holmes. So here we go. It'll be fun. I tear her tattered ensign down. Long has it waved on high, and many an eye has danced to see that banner in the sky. Beneath it rung the battle shout, and burst the cannon's roar. The meteor of ocean air shall sweep the clouds no more. Her deck once red with heroes' blood, where knelt the vanquished foe. When winds were hurrying o'er the flood, and waves were white below, no more shall feel the victor's tread, or know the conquered knee. The harpies of the shore shall pluck the eagle of the sea. Oh, better that her shattered hulk should sink beneath the wave. Her thunders shook the mighty deep, and there should be her grave. Nail to the mast her holy flag, set every threadbare sail, and give her to the god of storms, the lightning and the gale. So yeah, I read that poem, and old Ironsides is like a phrase, a term for a boat, and I was like, am I gonna like this poem? I feel like a poem about a boat isn't gonna be my thing. But I like it. I think a lot of it is in like the rhythm, the meter, um, that it feels very like fun and dramatic, and I think that was nice. Yeah, it does. It does feel very grand. There's a grandeur and a eloquence about it that I think is fun. All right. So our book for today is one that I think a lot of us have been certainly hearing about lately, and several of us have also been reading. It's Louisa May Alcott's Little Women. Um, this is a super famous book. It's pretty old, but it's had a resurgence with the new Little Women film adaptation that has been coming out. Oh, I see. We're still talking about the poem. Awesome. The ship they talk about still floats. They say it's better to sunk instead of like kept. Yeah. So Little Women. A lot of us, I think, have seen the new movie now. So it's possible that you sort of know the story. Yeah, that's a cool interpretation, Jacqueline. So the Little Women is a book that follows four sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. And they're young when the story begins. The oldest daughter is, or the oldest sister, whichever way you want to look at it, is 16 when the story begins. And so at the beginning of the story, they're all sort of young, youthful, idealistic, and really enjoy thinking about the way that their lives will be, and what their ideal future looks like. But even though they're sisters and that they're very close in terms of their relationships, their friendships, they have pretty different ideas of what their ideal future, what they want their lives to look like. So the story is mostly told from the perspective of Jo, Josephine, or Jo, who is the second oldest sister. And she is sort of a tomboy, but bright and creative, and she really wants to be a writer. She loves to read and to write. And she, in a lot of ways, rejects these ideas of domesticity and just being a wife and a mother, that some of her other sisters sort of get excited about and love. So the book was originally written in, let me see if I can double check my time here. So it was originally written in 1868. So I think it does a really interesting job of showing what women were like, the expectations of women at the time, and showing some ways that some of those women um, could sort of subvert or work within their more traditional expectations. So I'll go ahead and read a little bit of um, the beginning here because it sort of sets up who the sisters are and their relationships with each other. So this is from chapter 1. Christmas won't be Christmas without any presents, grumbled Joe, lying on the rug. It's so dreadful to be poor, sighed Meg, looking down at her old dress. I don't think it's fair for some girls to have plenty of pretty things and other girls nothing at all, added little Amy with an injured sniff. We've got father and mother and each other, said Beth contentedly from her corner. The four young faces on which the firelight shone brightened at the cheerful words, but darkened again as Joe said sadly, We haven't got father, and she'll not have him for a long time. She didn't say perhaps never, but each silently added it, thinking of father far away where the fighting was. Nobody spoke for a minute. Then Meg said in an altered tone, You know, the reason Mother proposed not having any presents this Christmas is because it's going to be a hard winter for everyone, and she thinks we ought not spend money for pleasure when our men are suffering so in the army. We can't do much, but we can make our little sacrifices and ought to do it gladly. But I'm afraid I don't, said, and Meg shook her head as she thought regretfully of all the pretty things she wanted. But I don't think the little we should spend would do any good. We've each got $1, and the army wouldn't be much helped by our giving that. I agree not to expect anything from Mother or you, but I do want to buy Undine and Cintron for myself. I've wanted it so long, said Joe, who was a bookworm. I plan to spend mine in new music, said Beth with a little sigh, which no one heard but the hearth-brush and kettle holder. I shall get a nice box of Faber's drawing pencils. I really need them, said Amy decidedly. Mother didn't say anything about our money, and she won't wish us to give up everything. Let's each buy what we want and have a little fun. I'm sure we work hard enough to earn it, cried Jo, examining the heels of her shoes in a gentlemanly manner. I know I do, teaching all those tiresome children nearly all day when I'm longing to enjoy myself at home, began Meg in the complaining tone again. You don't have half such a hard time as I do, said Jo. How would you like to be shut up for hours with a nervous, fussy old lady who keeps you trotting, is never satisfied, and worries till you're ready to fly out the window or cry? It's naughty to fret. And I do think washing dishes and keeping things tidy is the worst work in the world. It makes me cross and my hands get so stiff I can't practice well at all. And Beth looked at her rough hands with a sigh that anyone could hear that time. I don't believe any of you suffer as I do, cried Amy. For you don't have to go to school with impertinent girls who plague you if you don't know your lessons and laugh at your dresses and label your father if he isn't rich and insult you when your nose isn't nice. If you mean libel, I'd say so, and not talk about labels as if Papa was a pickle bottle, advised Jo, laughing. I know what I mean, and you needn't be satirical about it. It's proper to use good words and improve our vocabulary, returned Amy with dignity. Don't peck at one another, children. Don't you wish we had the money Papa lost when we were little, Jo? Dear me, how happy and good we'd be if we had no worries, said Meg, who could remember better times. You said the other day you thought we were a deal happier than the King children, for they were fighting and fretting all the time, in spite of their money. So I did, Beth. Well, I think we are, for though we do have to work, we make fun of ourselves and are pretty jolly set, as Jo would say. Jo does use such slang words, observed Amy with a reproving reproving look at the long figure stretched on the rug. Jo immediately sat up, put her hands in her pockets, and began to whistle. Don't, Jo, it's so boyish. That's why I do it. I detest rude, unladylike girls. I hate affected, niminy-piminy chits. Birds in their little nest agree, sang Beth the peacemaker, with such a funny face that both sharp voices softened to a laugh, and the pecking ended for that time. All right, I'll stop there. Um, so we sort of see just right at the beginning, it starts with a bunch of dialogue, and we see the girls chatting, and I think we get a good sense of their personalities, but more so, I think we get a really good view at, even though they may bicker or chat, um, or kind of tease each other, that they do clearly really love each other. They are really close, and they're able to talk about both these seemingly small things that they really want, right? New books or new drawing pens or new dresses, uh, along with some really serious issues. Um, when this book starts, their father is away um, at war, and they're fighting. And there's a big fear in that, not just for them personally, but for their sort of community, their society. And I think that that is a really interesting balance. I think in a lot of ways, what we're all going through right now mirrors that today. That we're all sort of making these sacrifices for a greater good. And that a lot of us are having to give up some things that we really care about or want to have. And certainly, we're all stuck at home, maybe bickering more with our siblings. Um, yeah, so Jacqueline saying that the four mature significantly over the course of the novel. So again, when they start, their ages like 16 to 12, maybe. Let's see if I can double check that. Yeah. So the oldest is 16, the youngest is 12 when the novel begins. But they all grow into womanhood by the end of the novel. So you really do see how these four little women start out essentially as children, and how even though that they're so different in childhood or in their teen years, as they grow up into adults, they all sort of deal with growing up differently, which is great. I haven't seen the movie either yet, Gunica. I mean, I've seen movie versions of it, but not the most recent one. So I'm gonna have to do that at some point. Um, it's an interesting read. It's definitely a classic. It's a solid book. It's not actually one that I like love and would call like a must read, but I like it, and I think um, it gives an interesting perspective that I think can be really valuable. Um, I do think that part of it is, uh, I do think it's better to read it when you're a little bit younger. Um, so I didn't fully read the book until college, maybe. I think, and I think I would have liked it better if I had read it in middle or high school. So yeah, most of us bookworms identify most with Jo. The second oldest sister, Jo, is a massive bookworm, loves to read, loves to write. Yeah, I think it's easier to just enjoy it as a kid. I think as an adult, at least in my experience, reading it as an adult, I had a hard time not being a little bit critical of it. And I think if I had read it when I was younger, I would have had an easier time just enjoying it. I definitely seen a movie version of it, um, when I was maybe in elementary school or middle school, um, that and I liked it so much more then. Jacqueline, you read it in the 7th grade? Yeah. Yeah, I think when you read it a little younger, you can just sort of enjoy it more, which I think is probably what, um is probably the right way to read it, at least for a first time. Um, Probably don't need to look at it with such a critical eye until a second read. So, there you go. Um, so if you get the chance, again, it's super easy. It goes really quick. Even the fact that it was written in 18 whatever, 68, I think that's what I said. It doesn't feel like really old in terms of the language. Um, so I think in that sense, it's solid. Um, so yeah. Yeah, so the book Heidi, I was never able to get through. I tried to read Heidi when I was, like, in the 7th grade maybe, and I couldn't make it through. So I wouldn't know. I just thought Heidi was too boring. Alright. What other questions do we have for me today? Any last minute ideas we gotta get out there before we head out? Alright. Well, um, with that, I think we'll just, wrap it up for the day. I hope to see you all either in class later today, this afternoon, or I'll see you back here again tomorrow. All right. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Always remember who you are, what you represent, and to show your Mustang pride. Bye, y'all.